Well, Jim, the big turning point, obviously going down to 10 men. What was your view on the incident?
I didn't have one. There seemed to be a lot of bodies in front of me. I think Sam said he just tried to make himself big. But I was fuming because I was shouting across the pitch some instructions to the lads to stop the short throwing. So it's the details that we put into training and people then just switch off. So I'm disappointed for Sam and I'm disappointed for the lads because the first half was as good a first half as we've seen and we should be going in, well, we did go in at half time with a clean sheet, and we should have, if we had 11 men, I think we'd have given it a good fist, and I felt the potential was there for us to go on and win the game. But obviously with 10 men, it's always going to be difficult. And as we wore on, you could see the weakness in certain players. And we're not talking about mental weakness, we're talking about technical weakness. Losing the ball, giving the ball away, not being able to execute set plays. And the ball just kept coming back, and eventually you're going to concede.
Hugely frustrating. You were the better side in the first half.
Yeah, but our fans won't remember that, will they? The ones here would probably reflect on a team that was very energised, good about their business. Yeah, okay, we've got certain players that have their weaknesses, the technical deficiencies, and I wouldn't disagree if they told me that they weren't good enough for this level. But collectively, we went about our business really well against the team that finished second last year. And like I said, apart from, we talked about switching on and doing our jobs properly and listening to people around us who were helping us do a job. And frustrating for me was that we had a player switch off. He was told what to do by somebody else and he ignored them. And then they get the crossing, and then it's a little bit in God's hand in terms of where it ends up. But he could have easily scored from the opportunity, never mind the sending off. And I would wish in some ways that he had of. Then I could have lambasted the lad for the goal being conceded because of his failings. And then because Sam Walker was one of our best players in the first half, he went about his business really well, set a good tone about everything we did.
Would he have been better letting the ball go in rather than concede the penalty?
I don't know, because when you go across the pitch, you sort of make yourself big, and like I said, it's slightly different than what happened maybe with the Suarez, where you deliberately handball it. I mean, this is where you kind of make yourself big, but that's the letter of law. I mean, they bring in certain rules which they feel are fair and just. So it's not for me to decide whether it's. I think in that moment there, when you get across the pitch, you're hoping it hits you on the chest or the head or the face, or the amount of keepers that come across there with their arms flailing would be in the same situation. So just really disappointed for Sam, because he's trying to dig out for an error from somebody else that people won't even know happened.
You mentioned that throw-in. Was it a foul throw?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not for me to judge. Again, there's 4 officials, so I mean, we're splitting hairs over refereeing decisions. I mean, ultimately, we work in training on getting a hold of the ball and bringing people in the game. We work on set plays and delivering in certain areas. If people can't do that, then we're always going to lose the ball. I think we showed signs of a team that might be able to recycle and switch and get up the pitch and create opportunities around the box. I think a couple of minutes before the goal, I think we had the best opportunity, straight off the training ground. And seen them score that goal against Southport last year, very similar. And it's disappointing because, unfortunately, when it comes to the critical moments, we're just not getting. I'm not going to say luck, because people say we're unlucky. We're not unlucky. The harder you work and the better you do your job, the luckier you get.
Obviously, it's the worst run of results you've had since you came back as manager this time round. How worried are you at this sequence at the moment?
I'm less worried after what I've seen in the first half. I mean, it was shambolic at Boreham Wood. I think surely it was weak. And I think, unfortunately, the 11 have been shown up by 2 or 3 weaker players, and maybe 2 or 3 who don't apply themselves maybe when the tide is going against them. And I think that's the measure of where we're at. And I think there were stages last year where we looked like that we a draw and a defeat, and then we needed to bolster the squad. And now look, there's players that I'm having to play because that's the 16 we have, but and I'm working my socks off behind the scenes to sign players and get players in, and ridiculous restrictions in terms of what they want for players who are no better than what we've got. But I think we've got to work really hard on the training ground, and I think I need to maybe keep the players in the team who've got energy and heart and desire and commitment, and take those that don't have them qualities out.
Are you pleased to be back at Edgeley Park on Saturday? Obviously Torquay, the visitors. It'd be good to get back to home ground, will it?
Yeah, in some ways, but I know what's going to happen. If it'd be quiet, moody, and then it won't take long before the Statler and Waldorfs behind me start chipping away at me and de-energising me and some of the players. So I said to the players about the approach that we have in terms of Saturday's game, and I think the mental side of it's going to be really important.
Yeah.
I've seen phases when Stockport have struggled and our fans the 12th man, but I think the majority of our fans will be right up for it, and I think our players will be. But like I said, like any person, I knew that when we came into this level that momentum would get you so far, and then it was a question of how we handled a poor run, a couple of injuries, a couple of defeats, and how we handled that. And I think that we've got a few players, a few people around us, on and off the pitch, who are not handling it very well, and I need to protect those that are handling it very well from those people.
Can I just ask, I mean, obviously you'd hope to have Ash Palmer back at the weekend. Let's hope he is fit, but I've just got to mention Festus Arthur, particularly the first half tonight. I just thought he was, for a teenager, for a young lad, absolutely outstanding. Yeah,
brilliant. Like I said, I can't fault him. A harsh lesson from on Saturday, I think it was the second goal, and we reinforced our principles, and he's come a long way in the year, and I'm like I said, he deserves his place in the team. I think tonight we looked, we just looked more of a team, and we, like I said, I felt sorry for people like him who put their heads in where it hurt and other people don't, and like I said, there were so many players that I thought did really well tonight. They're getting back to the best and contribute really effectively to the game. There's a few people that, unfortunately, I'm concerned about whether they're actually going to provide anything. And if I look back at last year and I look at the people that really showed the character, the quality, and grew over the course of the season, and were there for every month for the majority of games, I think maybe we've lost too many of them. Not just in the off-season, but throughout this period. And when you look at the team that were the champions, we've probably only got 5 or 6 of them in the team at the moment. And there's players there perhaps on another day wouldn't be in the team. And if I can get things lined up properly in terms of recruitment, then they won't be for much longer, because I think we need to transform the squad. Like if a new manager come in, that's all he'd be looking to do anyway. He'd judge who's good enough and who's not good enough, and then recycle the squad. And I think that there's a lot about our culture that's good, and there's a couple of players that I think are undermining what we're trying to achieve in terms of our culture. And I need to sort of now make a harsh decision on them and say that they're not good enough, they need to move on. We need to create the environment for people like Festus to come forward, because they're the players that I think are going to be the lifeblood of future achievements of the club.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.